Hello everyone, welcome to Officers Adara 24/7. My name is Soumya Prakash and we are here with another session on Module 8, Unit 12 of Principles and Practices of Banking. Before I start this session, please share the link of this video with all your friends and colleagues on WhatsApp, Facebook or Telegram group so that they also come to know that we have started this series on YouTube. And if you have not subscribed the channel, then subscribe the channel because we bring you a lot of information regarding your JAIIB, CIB and bank promotion exams. So let's begin today's topic, and today's topic is payment and collection of cheque and other negotiable instruments. So what are negotiable instruments and why it is important? Why we have to study about negotiable instruments? So we deal with a lot of checks on a day-to-day basis. This is part of operations of any bank, and that is why we have to understand what are the legal aspect of it. So let's begin today's session. What is there in the unit? So first of all, what Negotiable Instrument Act is? Negotiable Instrument Act is of 1881 and it deals with three kinds of instruments: promissory notes, bill of exchange and checks. These are called negotiable instrument. Then we will see what is the definition of check. What is a check? A check is a bill of exchange drawn on specified banker, not expressed to be payable otherwise than on demand, and it includes the electronic image of a truncated check and a check in the electronic form. So what does this mean? It means that check is a bill of exchange. First of all, what bill of exchange is, we will see in the subsequent slide what a bill of exchange is. It is drawn on a specified banker. You will get a check of a certain bank, right? Then in one of the previous units, we had studied that a customer cannot demand the whatever deposit a customer is keeping with the bank. It is not that on maturity we will go and give the deposit to the customer. They have to demand it from the bank, and they can demand it through withdrawal forms, checks, demand draft. There are various instruments through which the customer can demand that money back. So one of the ways is check, through which customer demand their deposit back to themselves. So it is, first of all, it is a bill of exchange. Second, it is drawn on a specified banker. Third, it is expressed to be payable otherwise than on demand. So it is paid on demand. You can count it as third. Then comes, it includes electronic image of a truncated check. We will be uh, we will see what does this mean, what is electronic image of a truncated check, and a check in the electronic form. So what does check in electronic form means? Electric checks in electronic form is drawn in electronic form by using any computer resource and signed in a secure system with digital signature. In many of the departments, you would have seen that a check is drawn where there is a pre-signed, the signature is printed, and these are printed check which are given to the customer or anyone who is eligible to receive such checks. So there are organizations where bank can provide such system where a lot of checks are drawn, and it is very difficult for the organization that each and every signature is signed by any individual. So to make it easier for them, bank provide this electronic form checks which is very easier to print, and this can be given to their suppliers, vendors, or any stakeholder of that particular organization. So these checks are in electronic form. These are just printed, and this can be done. This facility can be provided to organizations where a lot of checks are drawn. Then comes truncated check. Truncated check means Truncated check means when we scan the checks for clearing purpose. So in case of truncated check, is truncated during the course of clearing cycle immediately on generation of an electronic image. So now what happens is that checks are scanned, and they are just given to the clearing house. It is not necessary to move the check because this has reduced the time in which a check can be paid. This has considerably reduced the time. So the checks which are scanned, there is a special machine in which we scan those checks. In one of the previous units, we have already covered that, and those are called truncated checks. Now, what is a promissory note? Promissory note is an instrument in writing. It is instrument in writing. This cannot be verbal. So first thing which is important is it is an instrument in writing. Not being a bank note or currency note, we are not talking about bank note or a currency note. It is a note, promissory note, which is instrument in writing, excluding bank note or a currency note, containing an unconditional undertaking. So second point is unconditional undertaking means that I am taking the responsibility. I am undertaking that uh, responsibility if I'm giving a promise. This is like giving a promise to somebody. Signed by the maker. So third thing is that the maker will sign this promissory note to pay a certain sum of money. This will be signed when there is some payment has to be made only to or to the order of certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. This is for order of means that if you are ordering that only so and so person will get the payment. Like if it is for Mr. X only, then it will be paid to Mr. X only. If it is a bearer instrument, then whoever is holding the instrument, that promissory note will be given to the holder of the promissory note. So there are 5 points which you have to keep in mind. It is order of or bearer of the instrument. Now what a promissory note actually means is that I am promising that I have taken certain sum, I have availed some facility from someone, and I am promising that I owe you 500 rupees or 10,000 rupees. So it is like the words would be I promise to pay B or order rupees 500. So this is an example of how a promissory note will sound like, and this will be in writing. It cannot be in any kind of verbal agreement. There has to be a signed agreement for this. Or this is one of the example that I promise to pay B or order rupees 500, or I acknowledge myself to be indebted to B in 1000 to be paid on demand for value received. This value received could be anything, any goods or services, goods or services which are provided by B to A, that would be uh, for which somebody owes it to B. They have to give it to B for the goods and services provided by B. So it is a promise, kind of promise, which the person who has availed any kind of value will give to the person to whom he or she has to make the payment. Now comes bill of exchange. A bill of exchange is again an instrument in writing. First thing which we have to keep in mind is that a bill of exchange is instrument in writing containing an unconditional order. So what is difference between promissory note and bill of exchange? Promissory note is an unconditional undertaking. Undertaking means I am taking the responsibility. In bill of exchange, there is an unconditional order. I'm ordering someone to do something. Signed by the maker. This is common in both promissory note and bill of exchange. That maker will sign it, directing a certain sum, directing a certain person to pay certain sum of money. So fourth point is that it is directing certain person to pay certain sum of money only to or to the order of certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. So it can also be order or bearer, as we have seen in promissory note. So this is point number 5. The only difference is, suppose A bought some goods from B. So B provided goods to A. A has to make payment. Make payment to B. So what if A is the maker? He will be giving an undertaking, so that will become a promissory note. It will become a promissory note. But if B will order A to make the payment after certain period of time, that will be known as bill of exchange. Now comes payment of a check. What we have to keep in mind while doing payment of any check. The branch on which it is drawn, with core banking, there is not a problem with that. We can encash the check at any of the branches. Second is thing is date. We have to be very careful with date. If the date of the check is, back date is 3 months old. If it is more than 3 months old, then that check will be known as stale. We cannot make payment to that check. It becomes stale. If date is to a future date, date is a future date, then that is known as post dated. And that can also not be done before the date comes. That is, if suppose today is 13th of December, then you cannot make payment of any check which has date 1st January 2025. So we have to be very careful what the date is given. Third is payee. Check may be payable to a single payee or joint payee or alternative payees. We have to be very careful that to whom we have to make the payment. Then whether the check is order check or a bearer check. And bearer check, holder of the check, whoever has brought the check to the bank will get the payment. In order check, only the person who has been ordered to receive the payment will receive the amount of the check. You cannot give it to any holder, and you also have to see the KYC. You have to ascertain the identity of the person who is holding the check, because you can make payment to only for whom the order has been given by the maker. Amount stated in word and figure. If the amount stated in check differs, then section 18 says if amount in word and figure differ, the amount in word shall be paid. Now, this is, as we call this subject as principles and practices of banking. So this first part is principle. This is in principle, you can make the payment. You can make the payment according to what is written in words. But in practice, what we usually do as bankers, we return that check unpaid, and what do we write? With We write that amount in words and figure differ. So we usually return those checks, although the law provides that you can make the payment. If somebody makes the payment, that will not be wrong, because that has been provided by the law, that the payment has to be made according to the amount which is written in words. Now, what is payment in due course? Payment in due course is defined in Section 10 of Negotiable Instrument Act. Due course, as defined in Section 10, payment in due course means payment in accordance with the apparent tenor of the instrument in good faith and without negligence. So there are, first point is payment in uh, first point is payment in due course means that you are making the payment as per the apparent tenor. Second thing is that it is done in good faith and without negligence to any person in possession thereof under the circumstances which do not afford a reasonable ground for believing that he is not entitled to receive the payment of the amount mentioned in the check. So there are three things that are important. What does these words actually mean? Apparent tenor means instructions of the drawer of the check. What instructions has been given in the check? So that means apparent tenor. That is called apparent tenor. Good faith and without negligence means acted honestly and not negligently. Any banker should not make any payment which is dishonest. You have to be very honestly what is written in the check. If you're making the payment right as it is given in the check, and it should not be there should be no negligency there. Payment to a person in possession means to make the payment in person who is holder in due course. So whoever is possessing the check, you have to ascertain that whether the check is order check or bearer check. In order check, you have to make the payment only for whom the order has been given, and in bearer check, you can give it to any holder of whoever is presenting the check to you. You can make the payment to the holder, and it should be in due course, that everything looks fine. Entitled to receive payment means there are no circumstances to doubt the title to the check of the person being paid. So entitled to receive payment, again we will check whether this is a order check, bearer check, and as a banker you have to ascertain this, that there is no doubt that you cannot make payment to the person who is standing in front of you with the check. So let's see some questions of this unit. Match the following and choose the correct sequence. Check, promissory note, bill of exchange. You have to match it with the definitions which are given in this unit. An instrument in writing containing an unconditional order signed by the maker, directing a certain person to pay certain sum of money only to or to the order of a certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. A bill of exchange drawn on a specified banker and not expressed to be payable otherwise than on demand. An instrument in writing containing an unconditional undertaking signed by the maker to pay certain sum of money only to or to the order of a certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. Options are 1C, 2A, 3B, 1B, 2C, 3A, Third option is 1B, 2A, 3C, or none of the above. So you have to match the following and then you have to choose the correct sequence in which of the option you find the correct sequence as per the definition given in the unit. So let's see one by one. What is definition of check? We have already seen. It is a bill of exchange drawn on specified banker and not expressed to be payable otherwise than on demand. So one will go with B. Second is promissory note. So promissory note is an unconditional undertaking. It is not an order. So promissory note will go with C. And bill of exchange is an unconditional order for making the payment. So this will go with A. So 1B, 2C and 3A. B will be the right answer. Then if today is 13th December 2024 and you received a check in your branch of XYZ bank for cash payment, which of the following check can be paid? Check dated 1st January 2025, check dated 31st May 2024. The check has two parallel lines drawn on it. The check is of amount 5,000 and dated 10th December 2024. So, which of the check payment can be done? This has to be cash transaction and today's date is, if it is 13th December, then which of the following can be paid? So we will not make payment of check which is of 1st January 2025 because we have still not reached to 1st January 2025. Check dated 31st May because it is more than 3 months old. This has become stale. If it is two parallel lines are drawn on it, it is mostly account payee, and in that case you cannot make cash payment. This we can pay, although there are other things that you have to keep in mind. This is just to make you understand the concept. I have taken this question, but there are other things that you have to keep in mind while making the payment of any check. Why does the collecting bank put a crossing stamp received by them? Choose the most appropriate answer. To make the check account payee, to make the check an order check, to make the check payable only to the specified banker, none of the above. Why does bank put a crossed stamp, crossing stamp on the checks which they have received for collection. Options are to make the check account payee. Second option is to make the check an order check. Third option is this makes the check payable only to the specified banker. None of the above. And right answer is C. This makes the check payable only to the specified banker. If on a check there is a crossing where it is written suppose SBI, or if it is there is a check, there is a crossing stamp and written PNB. So this payment can be made only to PNB. This payment can be made only to SBI. So this is what it means. C is the right answer. This makes the check payable only to the specified banker. Mere signature of the endorser on the back of an instrument without mentioning the name of any specified person in whose favor the endorsement is made is known as dash. Endorsement in blank, endorsement in full, conditional endorsement or restrictive endorsement. If a person just sign on the back of the check without writing any name, then what would it be called? Endorsement in blank, endorsement in full, conditional endorsement, or restrictive endorsement? This is known as endorsement in blank. If it is just signed, then this is called endorsement in blank. Fill in the blanks and choose the correct sequence. Dash means instructions of the drawer of the check as apparent from looking at the face of the check. Dash means acted honestly and not negligently. The maker of a bill of exchange or a check is called the dash. A promissory note, bill of exchange, or check transferred to any person to make her the holder thereof, dash. Payment in due course, good faith and without negligence, draw transferred. Payment in due course, good faith and without negligence, draw transferred. Apparent tenor, good faith and without negligence, draw negotiable. Apparent tenor, good faith and without negligence, draw negotiable. So you have to fill in the blanks and then you have to choose the correct sequence that should come with proper sequence of 1, 2, 3, and 4. So first is known as apparent tenor. Apparent tenor means instruction of the drawer of the check as apparent from looking at the face of the check. What is written on the check, what is the date, name, amount in words, amount in figures, and signature. So this is the apparent face of the check. Second is dash means acted honestly and not negligently. That is called good faith and without negligence. Good faith and without negligence. The maker of a bill of exchange or a check is called the drawer. And for whom it is drawn, it is known as drawee. Promissory note, bill of exchange, or check transfer to any person to make her the holder thereof, that is known as negotiable. So right answer will be D, apparent tenor, good faith and without negligence, drawer, and negotiable. So this is the right answer, and this is it for today's session on it. We have already started our JAIIB May 2025 batch. If you have still not enrolled for our batch, because this is not complete unit, this is just a part of the unit, and there are much more things that we have not covered in this session because it is little difficult to cover it in one session. So for that, if you have not downloaded the app, first of all download the app because you will get other benefits also from the app. Then you have to go to, or you can do it from site also, but it would be convenient if you do it from the app. After that, you have to go to all courses. You will go to JAIIB CIB. You will go to JAIIB May 2025. Here you can see that you have JAIIB Mahapack, as well as we have launched two batches. Increment batch, which is available in both the languages. You can enroll for the batch of your choice. Here, after going, you have to select buy now. This is taking some time. So once you are here, you have to use the code Y984 and then apply, and so you will get the maximum discount by using this code Y984. And thanks a lot for watching this session. Share the link with all your friends and colleagues, and also subscribe to the channel. Like the videos so that we also know that what kind of content you like. And thank you so